Salakia on my setup. Salakia. I'm on my iPad Pro and just came to find out that iPad Pro doesn't offer a share screen with StreamYard unless you have an iPad, not an iPad, unless you have a Mac that you can connect to your iPad and set up something like QuickTime Player or so. But that's the only way I'm able to share my screen on my iPad Pro. I'm sorry, I didn't know this was going to be like this. I've always wanted an iPad. That's because I thought it was more convenient, but now I see that is not so convenient. I got to give me a Mac as well. They make you buy both, I see. But I guess it's just a StreamYard feature that doesn't allow us to do that on the iPad Pro. So we're going to have to work with what we got today. And I also, the first thing I want to do is start off by giving all praises to the Most High, Yahawashi, Hamashiac, Yahawashi. All praises to Him first. All praises, and that's everything right there. I mean, you know, that's the biggest thing I got to start off with. As y'all know, I posted something earlier. I've been going through a lot, so I haven't really been making videos like I did in the past. Been doing a lot of business. Got a lot of business going on. A lot of things going on in the family. It's been much. I've been traveling a little bit. About to go to Mexico. So yeah, it's a lot going on, but like the Most High always brings me back to feed the sheep, because that's the most important thing. The Most High, Christ said, feed his sheep. That's the most important thing I need to be doing. And I could be feeding y'all physically, spiritually, whatever it is, but I need to be feeding the sheep. And what do I mean by the sheep? I'm not talking about everybody in the world. I'm speaking on the 12 tribes of Israel, the Negros, the Latinos, and the Native Americans, of basically those indigenous people of Americas. And you got the Jamaicans, Haitians, and the African Americans. And you got other Israelites scattered across the world and other land masses, remnants, according to Isaiah. There's remnants in these other areas, but the majority of the Israelites are on this side of the world, in the Western Hemisphere, in which we would call Babylon the Great. So, yeah, this is going to be about the Anti-Defamation League. Some of y'all know this as the ADL, the ADL League. Basically, the ADL is a Jewish, or let me not say that word. Y'all know how it is. Let me just call them the small hats, or well, what's another name I can call them? I'm not even gonna call them. Let's just call them the small hats. The small hats created an organization back in the early 1900s, 1914, 1915. I want to say they created this organization to basically protect Jewish people from hate crimes, things like that. For instance, anything that has to do with Jewish people, protect them. Similar to what the NAACP was supposed to be for black people, but not nearly 1% of the NAACP isn't even 1% of what the ADL is. So as y'all can see, I got a little new setup too as well. All praise to the Most High of that. Yeah, the ADL was created back in around 1914, 15, I want to say, because there was an incident that happened in Georgia in a pencil factory where a Jewish man, small hat man, basically was accused of murdering a 13-year-old so-called white woman. So they try to claim that the Jewish man that killed the 13-year-old white woman, which I don't even like these terms, but they try to claim that he was falsely accused and everything was rigged basically against him. But I truly do not believe that, because what they tried to do is they tried to lie and tried to frame it on a so-called black man. I mean, we talking about the early 1900s, 1914, 1915. They tried to pin it on a black man, and it went to court, and the guy, what's his name? Leo Frank, the guy that was accused of the murder, he basically lost the trial and was accused of the murder. And basically, he was in jail, and a group of white people from the neighborhood that the girl was from went to the prison or the jail and took him and hung him. So after that Jewish man was hung, they got pictures of it and everything online. You could go see. The ADL was formed to protect the small hat people. So now you have the ADL, the leader of the ADL, I forget what's his name, Jonathan something, Jonathan Greenblatt. He came on the Breakfast Club recently because of all these things that's going on with your boy Ye. I know y'all seeing what's happening to your boy Ye, aka formerly known as Kanye. Y'all seeing what's happening to him. He's being blackballed. He's being demonized, he's being not decriminalized. He's being marginalized every single way there is. They're attacking that brother, where it is financially, mentally, every way, trying to destroy him. They're trying to destroy Ye, formerly known as Kanye West. They're trying to destroy Ye because Ye decided some months back that he was just going to start dropping all the beans, spilling all the beans, the term people would call it. He started exposing the hardcore truth, the biggest kept secret in the world. And what's that? The biggest kept secret in the world. The biggest kept secret in the world, to me, and in my opinion, is that we are the true Israelites of the Bible, of the ancient Israelites. We descend from the true Israelites, specifically the Negroes and Latinos and Native Americans. So that's the biggest kept secret in the world. I mean, a lot of people know now. The truth is starting to get exposed. We've been saying this for years. Now you see things like with Ye, with Kyrie, the things that happened with Ice Cube about 3 or 4 years ago all over Twitter. This truth is getting out, and they can't stop it. You can't do nothing against the truth, but for the truth, according to the book of Corinthians. You can't do nothing against it. It's like it's spread like wildflower. It's the Most High planned this, and it's beautiful to see. We live in a great day and age to be able to witness this. And for all y'all that's like, I know some of y'all don't know really too much of what's going on. Y'all might know a little bit about, like, okay, we might be the Jews, we might be the Hebrews, but the truth is our identity was stolen by these people. These people are stolen our identity. It's the biggest case of identity theft there is, where you take one group of people and you steal their identity and you convert to their identity using a religion called Judaism. So yeah, basically. But I'm about to play this video of this guy, Jonathan, on the leader of the Anti-Defamation League. I'm about to play this video of him on the Breakfast Club and let y'all listen to what is going down. And Charlemagne started questioning him a little bit. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big Charlemagne the God fan, but I'm not gonna lie, he has been questioning some of these Jewish people when they come on his platform asking the right questions. And I respect him for that, at least. I don't agree with Charlemagne on a lot of different things, but I respect him for questioning these people and sticking up for us a little bit. So I'm about to play this video now.
Wake that ass up. In the morning, the Breakfast Club. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlemagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building. That's right, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for having me. How are you, man? I'm well. How are you guys? And blessed, black, and highly favored. There you go. There you go. So let's start off. What is the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League? Well, what do I do? So the Anti-Defamation League, let's just step back. It's the oldest anti-hate organization in the United States. It was founded in 1913 after a Jewish man was lynched. He'd been falsely accused of a crime, wrongly convicted, and ultimately the mob tore him from his chair.
He's been falsely accused of a crime. A Jewish man was falsely accused of a crime, but yet the court convicted him of the crime. Y'all got to think about this. Y'all got to take a thought, a peace of mind on this. You have a Jewish man that says, basically, I'm innocent. I didn't kill this white woman, even though she was in my office. She was in my building. Actually, she would work there, though. The 13-year-old girl worked there. She went there to pick up her check, or somebody said. But she didn't make it out alive. And it was a black man or African-American man. And remember, we're talking about 1914, 1912, whatever around that time. An African-American man was a sweeper. He swept at the warehouse. All he did was he worked there. He was a sweeper. They tried to accuse the African-American man for murdering the white woman. Y'all see this? Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound very familiar of a white person accusing a black person of something in the early 1900s? I think we've heard that many, 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 many times over and over again. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, I looked through this whole little court case and everything, and it's just crazy to me that this man could sit here and say that this man was falsely accused. This man tried to accuse an African American for murdering a white woman in a warehouse. Man, I tell y'all right now, like, what do you think happened? All the fear that African Americans had to live through back then. You mean to tell me that this man murdered this white woman inside his job? That's just too hard to believe. And if anybody believe that or even think close to even believing that, y'all sick in the mind. Y'all have a problem. So I'm about to let this video play a little bit more, but hold on. Let me show you these people. Well, I can't even show you because my screen share is off. I'm just going to play the video. And
they hung him from a tree. And while the corpse man was lynched.
Okay, I'm going to replay that.
Jonathan Greenblatt, welcome. Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for having me. How are you, man? I'm well. How are you guys? And blessed, black, and highly favored. There you go. So let's start off. What is the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League? Well, what do I do? So the Anti-Defamation League, let's just step back. It's the oldest anti-hate organization in the United States. It was founded in 1913 after a Jewish man was lynched. He'd been falsely accused of a crime, wrongly convicted, and ultimately the mob tore him from his jail and they hung him from a tree. And while the corpse was still hanging from the rope, they all gathered around, the town did. They had a barbecue underneath the body. They took pictures and they turned the photographs into postcards. Sounds familiar. I was going to say, like, lynchings happen to...
You heard Charlemagne? Sounds familiar. When it happens to them, it's a problem. When it happens to us, everybody turns their head. When it happens to them, it is a problem. It's a national problem. And it must be stopped. Y'all see this shit? Like, I can't even believe this. This man sit here, the Jewish man, he was hung in front of everybody. This, that. Welcome to the club. That's all I gotta say. Welcome to the club. Cause y'all still hanging us to this damn day. One man get hung, y'all start a whole damn organization to destroy everybody that come against y'all. Y'all see this shit? Man, Salakia, my language, man. My French.
Young black men and a black barbecue underneath the body. They took pictures and they turned the photographs into postcards. Sounds familiar. I was going to say, like, lynchings happen to young black men and black women very frequently in the South. This is the first high-profile lynching of a Jewish man, and a bunch of Jews said, we got to do something about this.
First time.
They called the Anti-Defamation League, and they wrote a mission statement that was pretty amazing, because 100 years ago, Jews did not have, economic resources to speak of. They did not have much social capital, and the mission statement they wrote in 1913, we still use it today.
I'm going to tell you right now, I highly disagree with that statement. And specifically why I disagree with that statement is because prior to that, you had not even 20 years prior to that, less than 20 years prior to that. You mean it in the 1930s when the war was going on, there was a reason why that war was going on that people don't talk about today. World War II happened for a lot of reasons that is not talked about today. All we've shown is the negative things of World War II and what Hitler was doing in World War II. So when you understand that these people control everything that we consume when it comes to food, information, everything when you're talking about, these people control it. This is why. Now, y'all think about this. Think about this. And when you think about when you was in school, when you was in high school, think about high school, not just high school, think about your history class. What is the main thing they force and shove down our throat in history? I want y'all to think about that. The biggest thing they shoved down our throat was World War II. That's all we learned about in history class throughout 80% of the damn year. You learned about Hitler, the Nazis, the Third Reich, whatever that's called. You got the Schindler's List, Anne Frank. Think about it, bro. All these novels, these movies, they documentaries they forced on us because they wanted you to know about their little oppression that they went through. They want you to know about that. They want to shove it down your throat. They want to shove down I can't even tell you how many years that the Holocaust was going on. They want to shove that down your throat about the Holocaust. And the crazy thing is, they try to say 6 million Jews or small hats died in a short period of time, which is very arguable thing. Not saying that it didn't happen, but there are some questionable things about the Holocaust that a lot of people has questioned, that could be brought up to attention. But I'm not going to get on that. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the ADL eventually. But what I'm saying is that they forced World War II down our throats, man. That's all we learned about in high school. And I'm sick of it. Like, I got sick of it to a point to where history class, I hated history class back in high school. You would think that somebody like me, anybody asks, they like, man, you know a lot about history. Yes, because after school, I decided to learn history on my own rather than it being taught to me. Because when you let it be taught to you, then you're going to learn his story, not history. You're going to learn his story. So that's the biggest thing. When you start learning and open your eyes and start reading, you start to learn a lot of different things about what happened in history. For instance, this is what I don't like. You know how I'm saying that we're the Israelites? This is the main thing I hate about school. We also learned something about something called the Spanish Inquisition that happened in the 13th century? Spanish Inquisition. Now, if y'all know about the Spanish Inquisition was expelling the real Jews from parts of Europe and all other parts of, well, not just parts of Europe, but mostly like Portugal and Spain. The Jews were being expelled from those areas and placed into parts of Africa, specifically West Coast Africa. So when you read on that and you start learning that, it's like these people even took our history some hundreds of years ago. Like, it's like we go through the suffering and then they take hold of the history and claim it was them and they get the gratitude for it. You see how fucked up that is? Salakia. You see how messed up that is, man? You cannot tell me that we ain't living in a, man, this is crazy to me that we even have to even argue this point. We have so much proof to prove that we descend from those people in the book. We have so much proof. We can deal with history. We can deal with archaeology. We can deal with prophecy. They can't do that to us. They scared to speak. The small hats are scared to speak to the Hebrew Israelites most of the time. You have some of them that come out of the woodworks and try to defend it, but they get swept up every time. Every time I see a Jewish man, rabbi, come and try to speak with the Hebrew Israelites, they get washed up every time. And why do y'all think that is? Ask yourself that. And the biggest thing is that, well, you have some of them that are even admit that we the Israelites, like so-called Rabbi Harry Rosenberg. This man is even all over YouTube, everywhere, admitting that African Americans are Israelites. And it's just not just him. There's been other rabbis and other Jewish people that has admitted these things because they don't want to hold on to a lie. They see you cannot deny, at least you can try to deny other groups of people. But I don't think you can even do that with the Latinos and Native Americans. But you cannot deny that the African Americans is living through the Deuteronomy, has lived through the Deuteronomy 28 curses. You cannot deny that. And they know that. When you read Deuteronomy 28, which is the most important chapter to prove who we are, who the real Israelites are, you read about it and you start looking at it like, wait a minute. Most of this shit happened recently during the transatlantic slave trade. We gotta be these people because nobody else fit these curses. I'm gonna go over the curses one of these days on a good presentation and break it down. Lord willing, when I get my screen sharing up, it's gonna be on and popping. But these people know Deuteronomy 28 fits us to the key. It's so dead on. When my first time reading the Deuteronomy 28 curses, I mean, I bust out crying because I was just like, where has this been all my life? I've been going to church all my life. I've been listening to a pastor all my life. And I've never heard these things, or at least to a point, I've heard it one time. I believe when I was real little, my grandma said, I believe we the children of Israel. She told me that once or twice. I was young and it didn't resonate with me then. But I seen some Israelites. I seen family members of the Israelite. And I started doing some more research on it years back, 5 or so more years ago. And I come to a conclusion like, this is it. This is the way. This is what we've been missing. That missing thing that people feel that African Americans just can't get up. We just can't get over that hump. We just can't, and not just African Americans and Latinos and Native Americans too, because they went through just as worse oppression. This is that thing that we've been missing. Like, with all the trials and tribulations that the African American has went through and is still going through can be found in that book. And we can point it out. That is an amazing thing to do. Like, most people just look past it, but you cannot deny it when you open and read that book. Nobody really want to talk about that topic either. A lot of Christians, they don't want to debate that topic. That's one of the least topics you hear about debated because you're going to get washed up anytime. Well, you're going to get washed up on any debate topic with the Israelites. Any Christian is going to get washed up. All you got to do is know a few scriptures to wash up Christians. They light work. But, man, I tell you, Salakia, that's an epic rant by me, but Salakia. I'm going to start playing more of this video. Y'all know this gets me heated up, for real. These people, man, they stole everything from us, man.
Jews did not have, economic resources to speak of. They did not have much social capital. And the mission statement, they were...
Salakia, I missed the point because I started going on into that history about World War II. But when you understand what happened during World War II and Hitler, I'm going to tell y'all this. I've heard those Hitler videos in an English voice. I've heard somebody break it down in the English. I watched videos in the English. And it was crazy to me because Hitler was claiming that he's doing this to these people because they controlled back then. And we talking about the 1930s. He talking about in 1914, 1915, small hats didn't have any money. But I highly disagree with that. Because Hitler was claiming that these people was inside Germany, taking all the resources, controlling the bank systems, and leaving German people to starve. Leaving Germans to starve. We're talking about Polish Jews. You know, Poland is in Germany. You had Polish Jews controlling the banks, leaving these people to starve, leaving Germans to starve. So what did Germans do? Germans stood up. Hey, it might have been in a terrible way, but when people don't think that there's always a consequence for actions. There's always a action, and there's a reaction. There's an action to that, to where there's an effect to that action, whether it's negative or positive. So, not saying what Hitler did was all out good. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is he went to war with those people because he seen what was going on, and he's seen what they were going to do in the future. Now, am I praising Hitler or anything? No. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't look at any Caucasian, so-called Caucasian, and praise them for things they've done. So, but I'm just telling y'all the facts that these people have money. I know these people have money, and it just less than 20 years later, before that, prior to that, they had money. Don't believe that. This man already spilling too many lies for me.
Man, and a bunch of Jews said we got to do something about this, and so they founded an organization they called the Anti-Defamation League, and they wrote a mission statement that was pretty amazing, because 100 years ago, Jews did not have economic resources to speak of. They did not have much social capital, and the mission statement they wrote in 1913, we still use it today, was that the purpose is to, quote, stop the defamation of the Jewish people and secure justice and fair treatment to all. Not stop the defamation of the Jewish people, then not stop the defamation of Jewish people, and maybe stop it and justice and fair treatment to all. Which, we all talk about intersectionality today. We think struggles are connected today.
For all? So the ADL saying it was created to protect all people. Yeah, that is a lie from the pits of hell, if hell even existed. That is some bullshit. When have you ever seen the ADL come out and protect another race of people? I'll wait. Shit, I got time. I don't care what time it is. I got time. When has the ADL ever came out and protected another group of people that wasn't the so-called Jewish people or small hats? I have never heard no shit like that in my life. I mean, I may be wrong. Maybe somebody can show me after this video, oh, look, the ADL stood up for these people. I have never seen no shit like that in my life. But, yeah, a bunch of lies. Man, this dude, I didn't pause this video so many times, so many lies already.
Maybe stop it and justice and fair treatment to all. Which, we all talk about intersectionality today. We think struggles are connected today. But 110 years ago, when the Jewish community was vulnerable and they were weak and they didn't have any kind of power or influence or anything, the idea that they would fight for themselves made sense. They would also fight for others. That was an audacious, outrageous idea, but it has animated this organization for well over a century. So whether it's, this organization made the country safer for its Jewish people and safer for Black people, safer for LGBTQ people, safer for immigrants. My predecessors filed amicus briefs in Brown v. Board of Education, put people on the buses for Freedom Summit.
I've seen a few highlights of this video. I haven't watched this video. This is a first time reaction, y'all. This man said, oh my God, we got to replay that. This man said protecting Black people.
That was an audacious, outrageous idea, but it has animated this organization for well over a century. So whether it's, this organization made the country safer for its Jewish people and safer for Black people, safer for LGBTQ people, safer for immigrants.
So the ADL has made this country safer for Black people. I don't know. We're going to get through this video. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all just think about what he said.
My predecessors filed amicus briefs in Brown v. Board of Education, put people on the buses for Freedom Summit, March with Dr. King, long before. Today we talk about Dr. King. He's a hero. We got a holiday. He was a rabble-rouser. Oh, absolutely. He was a risk taker. And when ADL stood with him in the 1950s, it pushed a lot of people away, but we thought it was the right thing to do. And I'm blessed, really, really blessed to stand on that legacy.
Hold on.
Let's go back to 1912, right? Because, a Jewish man.
Okay, so Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. A lot of Hebrew Israelites, I know a lot of Hebrew Israelites got a lot of them are mad at what Martin Luther King Jr. did. I look at it in a different way because I dug deeper a little bit on the situation. Now, do I agree with Dr. King's message? Not at all. I didn't agree with that message. At that white people and black people will all be together, one living on La La Land. That's impossible. That'll never happen. When you understand the story of Jacob and Esau, that'll never happen. So, do I agree with Dr. King? No, not at all. Plus, you had the I Have a Dream speech, which is said to be written by a Jewish man, which I don't doubt, because what they were doing is what they were trying to leech onto us at that time. They were realizing how valuable we were. The Jewish man, out of all the European people, they realized how powerful we were, and they wanted to act as we were in one and the same. We were oppressed people, but in all actuality, when you understand the transatlantic slave trade, a lot of the small hats, basically, a lot of the small hats funded the transatlantic slave trade. Yeah, a lot of the small hats were slave owners during the transatlantic slave trade. So, and there's literally books out. It's crazy. I'm gonna tell you about these books, and they got volumes of it. I forget what is it called? It's called Salakia. I'm about to find the name of that book for y'all. Salakia. It has something to do with black and Jewish people. Where is that book called? What is that book called? It is called. Oh, my bad. Wrong side. The secret relationship between blacks and Jews. And that's volume 2. They got multiple volumes. Why would there be a book called The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews? Why is there a book called that? First of all, the book was only, I don't even remember how much the book cost. It wasn't even that much. It was definitely under $50. Cheap book. Wasn't even that much. This information started to get out recently. Some people made some videos about this book on TikTok. Instantly, this book went up $2,000, $2,500 actually. This book went up to $2,500 at least. Now, you tell me they trying to hide something if you ask me. I ain't the smartest man in the world, but hey, seems like somebody trying to hide something. And the secret relationship between blacks and Jews, that was part of what was happening when Martin Luther King was alive. They were trying to leech onto us and use us as they do today. Just look at the music industry. Who's the number one CEOs in hip hop? Hell, who's the number? There's there's 2 real major music industry companies. There's only really 2 major ones, and they're owned by Jewish people. So when you understand that they've always been a leech on us, making money off us, sucking us dry, and feeding their families, just like that Cohen guy that came on that other Breakfast Club interview that runs the music industry, that runs one of the biggest music labels. He said he got to feed his family. He don't care if blacks are dying in the streets from off this music, off this wicked industry, this wicked hip hop industry. He don't care if we killing each other. He don't care about black on black crime. He doesn't care about real anti-Semitism. That's the real anti-Semitism. What Kanye was saying. I'ma kill this nigga. I'ma fuck your bitch. I'ma kill this nigga. I'ma fuck your bitch. That's anti-Semitism. That's what Kanye was saying on the Drinks Club interview. That is real anti-Semitism. But they don't care about that. Y'all see this shit? This is insane to me. It is insane to me. Like, Salakia, it's gonna be hard to get through this video. And another thing about Dr. King changed up in his last year or two. Dr. King went over there to Israel and he said he's seen the promised land. I might not go there with you. Y'all remember that speech, right? That was Dr. King's last speech before he died, because I believe they killed him. Because they said he got tired. Dr. King got tired of that old message, and because it wasn't working. In Dr. King's last days, he said, I have integrated my people into a burning house. What does that mean? That he has led his people to astray. Even Dr. King admitted that himself. He said he led his people astray into a burning building. That means there is no coexisting with these people. That is exactly what that message means. And Dr. King, for some of y'all don't know, there's a big secret that happened. There's some underground stuff that happened with Dr. King and one of the Saudi Arabia leaders over there. They were going to move us. Dr. King wanted to move African Americans over there. You think that's probably why they had him killed? I think so. Dr. King was working with them to move us over there. White people wasn't having that. And y'all should know why. If you a smart man, just think about it. Just think about the scenario. I always bring this scenario up to people, and people cannot deny it. I even ask white people this. If all black people got up and decided to take their ass and start their own country somewhere else, this country will fall apart instantly. The market would crash. You know why? Because black people are liquid money. They call us liquid money. We the highest consumers. We the highest consumers there is. We make this country rotate. The stock market, there wouldn't be no stock market. There wouldn't be something called stocks and bonds if there wasn't slave stocks and bondage men. Y'all heard that, right? I know y'all caught that. There would be no such thing as the stock market. There will be no such things as stocks and bonds without slave stocks and bondage men. Because the first thing on the stock market was what? What was the first thing? A slave. We built this country. Our ancestors built this country off their own backs. And now what Dr. King's last message is, he was saying, you want our people to lift ourselves up by our own bootstrap. When y'all took everything from us and still taking stuff from us. And he got tired of that mess. Dr. King got tired of that message. And he was fed up and they killed him. And just like they do all our leaders. They kill all our leaders. Every single leader, think about it, bro. Every single leader has been criminalized or killed. Even Marcus Garvey. They destroy all the black leaders because of why? You have J. Edgar Hoover, the person that started the FBI. He made a famous quote. He said, the end of America is black unity or Negro unity, because he knows that when black people get together, it's over with for America. Once we actually stand together as a people, once we actually put our resources together, which that won't happen. We know to an extent, we know we can probably put our resources together and live a little bit in Babylon, but we not going to be saved out of this place until the person who they call Jesus Christ ignorantly returns. Yahawashi, the Hamashiac. Until he returns, We not getting out of this place. We not getting out of this bondage. It's a mental bondage now. It's a mental bondage because I can sit there and tell you you are a Hebrew Israelite. You are a God amongst these people. You descend from the people in the book. Your people was kings. We was leaders. We was kings. We ran the earth at one point in time. I can sit here and tell you that inspirational message, and people just, I don't care. They go smoking their blunts, sipping their lean. They don't give a shit no more. These people are zombified now. They zombies, and they have did they work on us. And what's that scripture say? What's this? The one of the what's the one? What's the Deuteronomy 28 curse? Where let me just go to it. Let me bring it out. Slovakia, because this is a very important Deuteronomy 28 curses. One of the most important chapter, if you ask me, because we wouldn't have woke up probably without it. Let's read Deuteronomy 28 and what scripture am I looking for? Deuteronomy 28. Okay, right here. Deuteronomy 28. Let's try verse 60. Slovakia, y'all. Deuteronomy 28 and 48, Slovakia. Deuteronomy 28 verse 48 says, Deuteronomy 28 verse 48, therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies. Whoever we serving, there are enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. So in hunger, nakedness, and want of all things, we're going to have to go to our enemies for. I mean, that's common sense. You can be a billionaire and have everything taken from you, like the boy Ye. He had everything taken from him in a matter of a day or two. And one of all things. Let's read that again. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So now that last message was very important. The Bible said that they will put a yoke of iron on our neck until they have destroyed us. That's why I said mental slaves, because they took the yoke of iron off our necks. Now niggas don't know what to do. Now we mental slaves. Now I can tell you a Hebrew Israelite, you from the tribe of Judah, the kingdom tribe, the same tribe as Christ. We, like Kanye was saying, Ye was saying, we the blood of Christ. I can tell you we the blood of Christ, and that shit don't matter no more nowadays. And you know why they say it don't matter? Because Christianity has taken over the world. The Christian doctrine basically makes it don't matter. Everybody is blood of Christ now. You see how crazy that shit is? You see how destroyed we are? Destroyed. Yoke of iron until he has destroyed thee.
Man got lynched, but I'm sure plenty of black people got lynched prior to that. So, why didn't, Jewish people step up prior to say, hey, man, this is wrong that all these black people get?
Right. I'm sure Jewish people did, but the Jewish community didn't create an organization, like ADL before that.
Gotcha.
So that doesn't mean that individuals didn't speak out. There were many Jews involved in the abolition movement. There were many Jews involved, in all aspects of the civil rights movement over the decades.
And I told y'all why.
About, when you don't, how they say, this happened to the Jews and I remained silent. Or this happened to this group and I remained silent. This happened to black people and I remained silent. And then eventually they came for us. That's what it makes me think about.
It is a lot like that. And, look, ADL has not gotten it right every time over the last 100 years, that's for sure. But on some of the most big and important questions of our time, when it really was a risk, I feel proud to be part of this organization.
And what does the CEO of the ADL do?
So basically, I do three things. So number one, we protect the community. We track anti-Semitic incidents. We help train law enforcement so they understand what hate crimes are and how to protect communities, Black, brown, Jewish, gay, etc. And
Fucking
we
lying,
monitor
bro.
the extremists. So I got a team of analysts who 24/7 are tracking right-wing extremists, white nationalists, armed militia groups, hardcore anti-Zionists, radical eco-fascists, all these kinds of extremists. Like just 2 weeks ago, we had a situation in Penn Station, you may have seen, where the FBI and the NYPD apprehended 2 men with bulletproof vests, guns, knives, swastika armbands, and rounds of ammunition. That was based on a piece of intelligence that an analyst sitting at our Center on Extremism provided to the FBI. So last year we gave over 1,300 tips. Again, like making sure that white supremacists and other kind of sovereign citizens and radicals don't commit acts of violence. So number one,
Y'all see that the ADL and the FBI are working together. Y'all see how crazy this shit is? The FBI is already against the so-called African American, the Latinos, and Native Americans. They're already against us. And they're working with the ADL. I'm gonna let y'all think about that.
track incidents, and I'll come back to the incidents. Number two, we advocate. So the short term is protecting the community. The medium term, it's about improving the climate. And we lobby in Washington, we lobby in state capitals, we litigate. Right now we're trying to bankrupt the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. And we speak out in the court of public opinion too. So advocacy is a big part of what I do.
Have you heard of UV printing?
Check
this out. You can print. Attention. Stop delivering other people's food to make extra cash. When you get
Information League.
Jonathan Greenblatt, welcome.
Good morning, welcome. They didn't adopt what just tuning in. One thing that I always have a problem with, we lobby in state capitals, we litigate. Right now we're trying to bankrupt the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. And we speak out in the court of public opinion too. So advocacy is a big part of what I do. And then thirdly, we educate. Because you sort of can't fight hate in the long run if you don't win hearts and minds. You can't arrest your way out of hate. You can't litigate your way out of hate. So we are one of the largest providers in America of anti-bias, anti-hate content in schools. We reach 3.5 to 4 million kids in schools, middle schools, high schools every year. And so what'll happen is like a black high school player will be hazed on a football team, or an effeminate teenager will be bullied for being gay, or a Jewish student will have a swastika carved in her locker. And a parent or a principal or whatever, they will bring in ADL, and our content is about fighting anti-black racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, all those kinds of things.
Let me ask you a question.
But when do you ever see the ADL for black people?
Jonathan Greenblatt,
It's
everybody.
fucking lie.
One thing that I always have a problem with any group of people is a lot of times we don't have the conversation, so we don't know what hurts, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what's bothersome. We don't know what to say, what we can't say, what's inappropriate, what's defamation, and all that.
Yeah.
So the first thing I just want to talk is what are the terms that shouldn't we say, or what are the terms?
I think you're saying what exactly is anti-Semitism?
No. Well, yes. Well, that's part of it too. So, let's say Kanye says Jewish people have all the power.
Let's not use him.
No.
I would rather use me than the guy.
Let's say people say Jewish people have all the power, or Jewish people run Hollywood, or Jewish people run the music industry. These are the things that we've been hearing recently.
We've been hearing, or we know?
Explain to us what those terms mean to you, and is it hurtful? Is it painful? Is it not? Is
Right.
it, what is it to you? Like, if you ask me, the N-word, how does that feel? And this, that, and the other, we can define that, but how does that feel to you? And what can we say? What can't we say? What is foul? What is not foul?
Well, look, DJ,
What can we say?
Ask the question, and I'm just going to share. Charlamagne and I have been talking for years. And a lot of what we do is behind the scenes. And sometimes we do call things out, but I believe that you call people in before you call them out.
Absolutely.
and I don't believe in cancel culture. I believe in council culture. So I know, like, coming on this show, there are people in the Jewish community who are going to criticize me. But I think we've got to engage with each other.
And vice versa. And learn. Our community is going to be like, why y'all got him on the show?
I'm sure you're going to hear it. There are a lot of people who don't like me. People on the far right, people on the far left, people in all kinds of communities. Because I think, we call it out, whether it's Kanye West or Tucker Carlson or Marjorie Taylor Greene or sometimes Ilhan Omar, we will call it out. That's or SNL or Amazon. We call it out. So that being said, what do we call out? So again, our core mission, if you will, is protect the Jewish people. That's our core purpose. So anti-Semitism is the threat.
Exactly.
So anti-Semitism is kind of an irrational, let's say, hatred of Jewish individuals or institutions because they are Jewish. And anti-Semitism is interesting if you think about it relative to other forms of prejudice, because I think anti-Semitism is like a conspiracy theory. Like, it's about the way the world works. So the Jews did this to me. The Jews have too much power. The Jews are the communists. The Jews are the capitalists. The Jews control Congress. The Jews want to kill Christian people, Muslim people, black people, whatever. It's this warped kind of idea that shapeshifts relative to time and place. I mean, it's described as the oldest hatred. It's been around thousands of years. After the Jews were expelled from Jerusalem by the Romans.
All right, that's enough. First of all, let me slow down. Y'all was not expelled from no damn Jerusalem. That was us. That was our people. That was the Negores. That was the so-called people you see today called African Americans, Haitians, and Jamaicans. Those type of people were the people expelled from Jerusalem in 70 AD from the Roman Jew War from 66 to 73 AD or something like that. Sit here and try to see how I mean when they try to claim hold to our history and then use it as advantage in the future. This is some fucked up shit, man. Y'all got to really take a look and think about this shit. They literally taking our history and taking credit for it. Not even going through the suffering, but just taking credit for going through the suffering. This shit is insane to me, man. How do you fight this, bro? Like, without divine intervention, how do you deal with something like this? I don't think there's no way. These people got too much control now. They can say anything they want to. Anti-Semitism now. Let's deal with that. I wish I could share my screen, but let's deal with anti-Semitism. The man just asked him a question about what anti-Semitism is and what he can't say. You hear that? He asked him what he can't say. I thought this world was freedom of speech. I thought that was I thought that's the first commandment of this damn country. Freedom of speech. There's no such thing. When these people in control, there was no such thing as freedom of speech. That's why he asked what he can't say. And he just explained anti-Semitism as saying Jewish people control this and that, Jewish people run this, or the reason this happened because of Jewish people. How the hell is that You see the fuckery in that? You see, Salaki, you see how crazy that is? To sit here and say that anti-Semitism is saying that these people run everything. What if they do run everything? Let's say we speaking hypothetically, because we know it's a fact. We already discussed that. The whole world's starting to figure out that they run every part of this fucking earth. The world is starting to figure that shit out. So let's say hypothetically that nobody knows that they run this earth. And let's say hypothetically it started to get out that, wait a minute, Jewish people run this earth. Now you get labeled with the anti-Semitism. Now you're anti-Semitic basically by saying Jewish people run everything. Y'all see the mind game in that? Y'all see that? Saying that Jewish people run everything is saying it's anti-Semitic. So all black people run fast. I mean, is that bad? Is that a bad thing? Like, I mean, is that a true statement? Are stereotypes real? Like, we gotta ask ourselves: are stereotypes real, true? Like, black people run fast. Am I supposed to get offended by that? No. That's actual true statement. Because we can see that. Just like we can see the owners of the music industry, the owners of Hollywood, the owners of all the media channels, the 6 conglomerate media channels, 6 conglomerate companies that control everything. You got Ye running around with this little chart. I know y'all probably seen it before. He showed it on TMZ. It's called the red chart or the red media. The red media chart. Basically showing you all the Jewish people that are owners in these companies. And when you look at that chart and you see all these Jewish people that own these companies, you start to realize that these people got a little bit too much control. This is why Kyrie Irving can't even fucking post a link to a documentary called Hebrews to Negroes. Kyrie Irving didn't say nothing. He didn't yell nothing. He didn't cuss Jewish people out. Kyrie Irving posted a documentary with no caption to it. Literally just a documentary, a link. He posted the link to it. The link, it's a documentary on Amazon called Hebrews to Negroes. And this man was straight demonized. Like, this man was had everything taken from him. Nike, the NBA said he can't come play unless he paid. The Jewish people created a list of things that Kyrie had to do to play in the NBA again. He had to pay Jewish people $500,000. He had to go meet with the Jewish people, Jewish rabbis, to learn about Jewish history. Y'all got to think about this shit, man. Y'all see what these people doing? Y'all don't know y'all slaves, man. I'm telling y'all. If Kyrie and Kanye, Ye and Kyrie, 2 which wealthy black mans can't even speak their word, can't post links about these people, what y'all think? Do they really run shit? Or is that anti-Semitic saying they run shit? Because there is a major problem with that. That's insane to me. It's a very sickening thing, y'all. Salakia. This video is hard to listen to, man. It's hard to get through too, because this man is insane. This man is insane sitting here saying this. It's crazy to me.
Like torn from their land, and they lived in diaspora as a small community in Europe, in the Middle East, in parts of Asia. And these Jews continued speaking Hebrew. They didn't assimilate into the mainstream population. They continued their own religion. They didn't adopt Christianity or Islam. They continued their own dietary rules. They didn't adopt what the mainstream did. Jews don't believe in conversion or proselytization, so they stayed small. They didn't really grow. So
man, this man just told the biggest lie. He said that Jewish people were expelled and they held on to all their customs, religions, everything they followed. Man, for y'all Christians out here to sit here and listen to this message and believe some shit like that, y'all don't know the Bible. Because the Bible said that the name of Israel shall no longer be in remembrance. That they was cut off from being a nation, and they were basically sent to the 4 corners of the earth, scattered by the way of slavery and slave ships. So you mean to sit here and tell me that the Bible is a lie, saying that we would lose our heritage, we would lose our identity in Jeremiah 17:4. What is it? Jeremiah 17:4. Salakia, I believe that's the scripture. I'll check it in a second. But you mean to tell me that the Bible is a lie, saying that we would lose our heritage, our identity, our names, everything. But this man can sit here on Breakfast Club and say that Jewish people kept their identity and all their customs since 70 AD, since the exile from the Roman Jew War. Bro, y'all would believe everything if y'all believe this shit. I'm telling y'all right now, y'all would believe everything.
Shot of that is when the church, like in Europe, needed someone to blame the Jews. Mm-hmm. When the kings needed someone to blame those Jews. When the caliphate needed someone to blame those Jews. Because they were always there, they were always different, they were always living on the margins. So flash forward to today.
That's not them, that was us, y'all.
Anti-Semitism shows up in different ways, often like characterized by a series of myths or tropes. So for example, the Jews run Hollywood. Look, it is certainly true that there are a number of prominent Jewish people in Hollywood in the entertainment industry.
What? Y'all see that? But I can't say that because that is anti-Semitic. Oh my God, yo, I'm sorry, Salakia, bro. The man go out and blurt and say all this bullshit and then tell you, oh yeah, well, there are a lot of Jewish people that run Hollywood. There are a lot of Jewish owners that run Hollywood. So is Kanye lying or he's just being demonized for telling the truth? We got to ask ourselves that. We really do. This shit is insane to me, y'all. Salakia.
Industry. The thing is that the Jews run Hollywood is nuts. There's no cabal of Jews who are manipulating things, but the idea that Jews in power shows up over history, right? Many people know about something called the Protocols of Zion, which was a forgery written over 100 years ago, that there was a group of Jews who were trying to run the world. Hitler used that to justify, the genocide of 6 million Jews.
Ooh, I just said that earlier in the video. Hitler used that because why? Hitler said that these people control the banks, they control the food, they control everything. They're going to take America, they're going to extort America, they're going to enslave they're going to control the world. They control everything. Y'all got to think about this. Hitler said these things almost 100 years ago. Y'all really have to think about this. Now, y'all see how they have taken the history and made us believe Hitler was just the worst human being to ever exist, which he could be one of the worst. I'm not saying he ain't, but remember how I said there's an action and then there's a reaction. Because you put negative things in the universe, people believe that, right? Y'all believe in the universe. You reap what you sow. That's biblical. You put bad things in the air, bad things come back to you. And what y'all do? I watched a lot of documentaries on that was basically there were unbiased documentaries in English, speaking what Hitler was actually saying, showing all the Germans starving, bony, eating out of garbages, not having food, anything to they showed all these things. I've seen all these things. So there was somebody that riz up on their people, riz up like, I got to do something for my people. These people got to be taken out. They control too much already. Y'all see that? Not glorifying anything Hitler did, because I know how y'all is. Y'all control this damn YouTube channels. Y'all control this damn YouTube platform. So I'm not glorifying Hitler at any cost. I'm just saying there's always an action, and then there's another action to that. There's you put negative things in the universe, you're gonna get negative things back. It's that simple. That's all I'm saying. But y'all remember I said that about Hitler. He said Hitler tried to use that. Hitler was in line. They were running the banks back then. They were causing countries to starve back then. They've been doing this shit, man. People just realizing and waking up to this shit now because of the media, and they've been brainwashing y'all with this network programming. They've been programming y'all.
Who are manipulating things, but the idea that Jews in power shows up over history, right? Many people know about something called the Protocols of Zion, which was a forgery written over 100 years ago, that there was a group of Jews who were trying to run the world. Hitler used that to justify, the genocide of 6 million Jews. And so when you say Jews run Hollywood, Jews run the music industry, Jews control Congress, or sometimes, by the way, it's the Jewish people, sometimes it's the Jewish state. Israel controls Congress. Israel, the Zionists run the media. It's the same stuff. And why is it a problem? Like some people say, well, I would love if people thought that my community ran Hollywood, but this has led to harassment and violence. So earlier this year, we had the hostage taking in Colleyville, Texas. Do you gentlemen remember that? Mm-hmm. January, a guy from the UK, mentally disturbed, of South Asian descent, Muslim, had been radicalized by ISIS propaganda and came to the U.S. because he wanted to free an ISIS terrorist who's being held in a prison in Texas, and thought the way he could free this woman was to go find a synagogue because the Jews control Congress. And he took 4 people, a rabbi and 3 people, hostage in a synagogue in Colleyville, Texas. It was an 11-hour standoff, which I know because as soon as I was at home, I had been to synagogue in the morning. I was at home and I got a call from my head of law enforcement who said, sit down. I hope you're sitting down. We just got word about a hostage taking at a synagogue outside of Dallas. And we got the call because the FBI called us because we track extremists. And one of my analysts was on, I think, a signal, like in a signal chat that morning when someone said, turn on the live stream. Because you could see it because the services were being live streamed. This crazy person thought somehow that Biden would listen to the Jews. Now, as it turns out, after 11 hours, the hostage were able to free themselves. The FBI shot and killed this man because he came out with his weapon. But interestingly enough, the next day when the rabbi was on CBS and they asked him, what do you think? The first thing he said was, I just want to thank the FBI, law enforcement, and the ADL for the training that I got that helped save my life. So when we talk about what is anti-Semitism, it's a crazy, ISIS radicalized person coming from the UK.
He just pointed out one stupid scenario and made this big claim that this is anti-Semitism when it's anti-Semitism. Let me tell y'all something about that word. I just told y'all what they tried to say it means. They changed the definition of it. Like, they created their own definition of the word anti-Semitism. The word anti-Semitism comes from somebody named Shem in the Bible. Sem, Shem, however you want to say it. When you're dealing with Shem in the Bible, Shem is the son of Noah. He was one of the sons of Noah, the 3 sons. Shem basically was the progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel when you deal with who came out of Shem, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, so on, the Israelites. So that's why they try to take hold of this word Shem. Now, when you deal with Shem, being back so way back, and you know that Abraham, many nations come out of Abraham. We can see that in the scriptures. We can name so many of them today. And from our point of view, on who we say the people that descend from Abraham, I'm going to tell y'all right now. I'm going to tell y'all who are Shemites today. African Americans, Native Americans, Hispanic people, East Indian people, Arab people, Chinese, Japanese people, all are Shemites. So for you to say Shem, we're dealing with the word Shem. So for you to say anti-Shemitic or anti-Semitic, anti meaning against. So I'm against Shem. I'm against the Shemites. whoever descends out of Shem, I'm against. So now, when I just told y'all who the Shemites were today, you would be anti-Semitic if you would be doing those things to those people. So for to use this term as for one group of small people that make up less than 1% of the earth is insane to me. It's insane. The word anti-Semitic, when you look up the definition, the real definition, the word in there is Afro-Asiatic, meaning these people are Afro-Asiatic, being descendants of this area from Africa, where Africa and Asia connects. So when you understand the Levant, hopefully y'all can hear me. When you understand the Levant or the Middle East or all that area where the Shemites was dwelling, that area was predominantly dominated by melanated people. When you deal with even all the way to Iran, to Iraq, that area was dominated by so-called African Hamitic people, which were, when you deal with Babylon, where is Babylon? The ancient Babylon. Ancient Babylon is in Iraq. That's proven with archaeology. Ancient Babylon is in Iraq. Who are the ancient Babylonians? When you look up the ancient Babylonians, the real ancient Babylonians will be Cush, or the Cushites. Today, a Cushite would be the Ethiopians. So which means all the way in the Middle East, all the way to Iraq, was dominated by Hamitic or African people as well, and other melanated Shemites. So for to say anti-Semitic, that shit is a huge false claim. Salakia, what'd you say? How often you doing your podcast? This ain't my podcast, really. This is my YouTube. I ain't been doing my YouTube in a while. Like, I ain't made no videos in a while. This is my first video back. I'm getting back into the flow a little bit, man, because I've been wanting to go live on a lot of topics. But this ain't my podcast. I do have a podcast, but it's a business podcast. But I will turn this into a podcast in the future. I will turn this this Israelite channel into a podcast in the future. If that was answer your question. So yeah, I'm just trying to get back into the flow, start bringing this shit out, you know. Yep. So yeah, I was bringing this shit out. This shit crazy because they brought this Jewish leader on the Breakfast Club, and I was playing this video.
Hey, thinks the Jews have too much power. It's two white training that I got that helped save my life. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about what is anti-Semitism, it's a crazy, ISIS radicalized person coming from the UK thinks the Jews have too much power. It's two white supremacists getting off a subway train at Penn Station because they've heard that they wanted to go shoot up a synagogue.
That's not anti-Semitism, Mark. That is not anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is, I'ma fuck your bitch. I'ma kill this nigga. I'ma fuck your bitch. I'ma kill this nigga. That's anti-Semitic. That's what Ye was saying on the Drink with Champs, Drinks Champs interview. That's what Kanye was, formerly known as Kanye. That's what he was basically saying, and they jumped on him for it. Think about it. What it say? Who are you going after? The fake Jews? You already know. Number one enemy, Amalek. Definitely talking about they ass. The ADL is an organization basically that protects Jewish people. It's like it's supposedly like what the NAACP is supposed to be for black people. The ADL is, but the ADL, the NAACP is not even 1% or has done 1% of what the ADL has done. The ADL actually protects their people. The NAACP, not so much. You can't protect us. We some unprotected ass motherfuckers, basically.
synagogue. It's Black Hebrew Israelites this weekend. What today's
Hold on.
Monday?
He called us out. He called us out.
ISIS radicalized
He called us out.
Coming from the UK, thinks the Jews have too much power. It's two white supremacists getting off a subway train at Penn Station because they've heard that they wanted to go shoot up a synagogue. It's Black Hebrew Israelites this weekend. What today's Monday? Tuesday.
Wednesday.
We're going to air on Wednesday. Sorry. So it is over this past weekend in Staten Island on Sunday, a Jewish man who he must have been Orthodox because you could identify that he was Jewish, and his son were shot by a young man with a pellet gun as they came out of a
guns. I did see that, yeah.
And so when he was asked by the police, they said it was a hate crime. He said, how could it be a hate crime if I'm a Hebrew? This is the kind of fiction that Black Hebrew Israelites say that white Jews, quote unquote, aren't really Jews. So anti-Semitism can, I gotta stop the video. This man said that first of all, we hate that damn term. We hate that damn term. We hate the term Black Hebrew Israelites. You know why we hate that term? They call us BHI. The Christian apologists call us the BHI, the Black Hebrew Israelites. We don't even call ourselves the Black Hebrew Israelites. They put that name on us. We tell them over and over to stop calling us that, because the word black is in general means something bad, something negative connotation. It means evil. It means everything. Black magic, black widow, black everything. When you look up the definitions of black, the real definitions, it is negative connotations. So they use this form of witchcraft. That's what it is. That's all it is. It's a form of witchcraft to put in your mind by calling us the Black Hebrew Israelites, to make it sound negative, to make it sound bad. This shit is so evil, man. It's like I never thought I'd be part of some shit like this. Shit is insane. The Black Hebrew Israelites. And Black Hebrew Israelites shot a Jewish man with a pellet gun. Let's go deal with this. See how everything is a hate crime. If a Jewish boy gets beat up at school, it is a hate crime. If you throw a brick through a Jewish man's window, it is a hate crime. If you spit in a Jewish man's face, it is a hate crime. I'm not saying I don't want to do that, but Salakia. Let me turn this video back on. He started talking about the Black Hebrew Israelites. It will show up as people thinking that white Jews aren't Jews. It can show up as white supremacists. It can show up as people saying, like Kanye, by the way. Kanye got ejected by Elon Musk off of Twitter. I saw that last week. And Elon says because he put an image up of a Jewish Star of David with a swastika in it. I can tell you there are rallies, anti-Israel rallies every week where they say Zionism is Nazism, that Zionists are committing genocide. I've seen that image a million times. But these are all manifestations of what I will characterize as an irrational hatred of the Jewish people. And look, Jewish people are the most victimized religious minority in the country. 60% of all the religious-based hate crimes target Jews, despite the fact that Jews are just 2% of the population. Bruh, why would you even say, what does that even matter? Hate crimes happen to Jewish people more than they do black people, is you trying to say? I know he's not trying to say that. He tried to use he tried to throw religion in there like that mattered. That's the game they play, bro. You got to catch these words. You got to catch these words. They try to use that game and play with words and say,
oh, Jewish people has went through the most hate crimes despite being less than 2% of the world's population. You see this shit, bro? They want to be us so bad that all the negative things can happen to us right in our face, and they still say they get treated worse than us. That was a man going on an epic rant on some other. That was a Jewish man talking to a real Israelite, literally saying, "What have y'all went through lately? Y'all have only went through the transatlantic slave trade. We went through way worse." Man, that's so false. I mean, when you just dealing with the transatlantic slave trade, it is estimated that during the transatlantic slave trade, up until after it was over, that 100 million Negroes died. Now, you could say that number's a stretch, but hey, they can lie about what they want. I mean, they can say what they want. We know what we've been through, and it was the worst thing that ever happened to any race. The worst thing. You talking about 500 years of oppression and slavery compared to a 6-year Holocaust? I don't know how many years it was. Man, bro, these people are sick, man. They sick in the mind, and they like to play these little games. And if you don't have an open eye, you don't have a spiritual eye, you're not going to catch these little word games they play. So, Salakia.
There are only 7 million Jews in a country of 350 million people, but they're the most targeted, and the anti-Semitism is up. In 2000, we've been tracking anti-Semitic incidents at ADL for 45 years. 2021 was the highest total we've ever seen. It was a 34% increase over the year before.
All praise to the Most High.
2,717 incidents. Now, every one of those, my staff investigated and verified everything that we report. Mm-hmm. And so that is triple the number of incidents that we had in 2015. So think about that. Over 300% more. And I mean, if you guys go to...
The Lord is bringing judgment. The Lord is bringing judgment to Amalek. Y'all don't know. The Lord is bringing judgment to Amalek. When you understand who these people are, that they descend from the grandson of Esau in the Bible. They're a grandson of Esau. They're Edomites. They're Amalekites. They descend for Amalek in the Bible. When you understand who Amalek is, the Lord hates Amalek more than anything. You have the Edomites that the Lord already hates. He hates all Edomites, which Edomites today will be your friendly neighborhood so-called white woman or white man or white woman. Edomites today are the so-called Caucasians. Now you have tribes within those Edomites, like the Amalekites, which is the worst of the worst in the Bible, the scummest of the scummest, the vile of the vilest, the worst of the worst, according to the Bible. The Amaleks. Now, when we look at prophecy, we have determined that these people are the Amalekites, according to prophecy. The Lord said he will war with Amalek forever. The Lord told Saul to kill every single Amalekite, women, children, cattle, and everything in the Bible, in the book of Samuel, First Samuel, 2 Samuel. He literally told Saul to kill all the children of Amalek, all the descendants of Amalek, women, children, men, cattle, everything they fucking own, killed all the motherfuckers. Y'all remember what movie that was on? That was off of Blood and Bone. Kill all the motherfuckers. But yeah, bro, the Amalekites, they really have taken over this earth. And now people believe it's sad when you know the whole scriptures you know who is who, you know the nations, and you start to see who is who today, and you see that the tribe of Amalek has taken over the identity, consumed the identity of the real Hebrews, the real Israelites, the real Jews. They have consumed the identity and took over the earth, the children of Amalek. This Bible is just real as it gets. It's not going to get anything realer than the scriptures. I'm telling y'all right now, these people, we know who they are now. They can't hide. The Lord has uncovered their nakedness, as he would say. Yeah, so Salakia, epic rant.
Go to church, or your listeners go to church, you can ask yourselves, do you have armed guards in front of your church?
No, we need to, though. I felt that way ever since the incident happened in my hometown of Charleston, South Carolina.
Right.
So we should talk about that, about what ADL's doing about that. Mm-hmm. So let's come back to that. Mm-hmm. But
first of all, what we need to do about that is don't join hand in hand with them. Don't never trust thy enemy, because as iron rusts, so is his wickedness. Never trust thy enemy. And what did the Bible call them in Deuteronomy 28? Our enemies. So you cannot trust your enemy, because eventually he's going to sign 500 treaty treaties with you, and he's going to stab you in the back. So, yeah, you can't trust your enemy. Salakia.
United States has an armed guard in it. Every synagogue in the United States knows how to do lockdown drills and, live shooter drills. We are very used to our synagogues being firing ranges, and there's a lot of fear that comes from that.
What's your name?
Okay. The term Jews, right? Is that a term that can be said? Because at one time
you couldn't say that. I thought you had to say Jewish
people. Yeah, you can say Jew.
Yeah, it's interesting. Language evolves and changes relative to cultural norms. Mm-hmm. So I think of myself as an American Jew, because my grandfather, who was a Holocaust survivor, mm-hmm. he was a Jew in Germany. It's the only country that he ever knew until one day. My great grandfather fought in the First World War for Germany. The only country they ever knew until one day it turned on them, destroyed everything they ever loved, made them enemies of the state, and it pretty much incinerated their whole family in Auschwitz. So that German Jew came here. Never would have guessed, by the way, that when he was a young man, that one day his grandsons, like me and my brother and my cousins, would be born in America. My grandfather never could have guessed that in his 20s. Flash forward, my wife is an Iranian Jew. She came here as a political refugee in 1988. If you ask my father-in-law, they're very Iranian. They're Persian. They speak Persian. They eat Persian food. They work with other Persians. It's a whole different...
Everybody Jews but the Negores. We can't say we Jews.
If you had asked my father-in-law when he was a young man, he would have guessed, of course, his grandchildren will be born in Iran, the only country they ever knew until after the Islamic Revolution. The Jews became enemies of the state. They destroyed everything they ever loved, and they forced, again, my in-laws and my sister-in-law and my wife to come here as refugees, mm-hmm. which they did, like I told you. And so I don't take for granted, based on the experience of my Jewish grandfather from Germany or my Jewish father-in-law from Iran, that my grandchildren will be born here in America. As a Jew, I can't afford that luxury. If I want them to be born here, and I desperately do, we got to fight for what we have.
So you can say Jew is what you say, basically.
So you can say Jew. Now, I'll also say that a lot of, when we talk about what language matters...
I can't say the word Jew. I got to ask the white Jewish man to say the word Jew. Get the fuck out of here, bro. They miss me with this shit, bro. I'm sick of this shit. Sorry, Salakia.
So when, Nick Fuentes, Donald Trump's dining companion, mm-hmm. uses the term Jew, he probably doesn't mean it in the way like when I say it. And it's like you mentioned the N-word before. Like when a black person says it, a black person has a very different meaning than when Nick Fuentes used it at dinner with Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. So a lot of this is about context. If you call me Jewish, that's just fine with me. If you say Jonathan's an American Jew, that's just fine with me too.
So when we go back to the anti-Semitic conversation, because a lot of the things you named are blatant anti-Semitism, but I got labeled anti-Semitic because I said, after the Nick Cannon situation.
My YouTube
this shows
is
that
called,
Jewish people have power, and I can't wait until black people have power.
I changed the name of it recently because I wanted to get back on. I just now getting back into the fold of things. It was called the Green Ranger at first. I changed it recently. I think it's called Yahawashi and the Green Ranger. My YouTube channel is called Yahawashi and the Green Ranger.
We can't even get the people who kill us fired and
shit, Slovakia.
Right. To the cops who at the time who hadn't been charged for killing Breonna Taylor.
Right.
So why is that considered anti-Semitic? Because that's coming from a place of reverence.
Yeah, I get that, and so I think that's some of the complexity of this. Now, number one, I tell you at ADL, like we are very, very, very hesitant to call someone anti-Semitic unless there is a pattern of behavior over time. You might say something that's anti-Semitic. You may say something that's offensive, intentionally or not, but it's up to us to explain why. Like, I can't assume that you understand my pain. I got to explain it. So, like, I don't know the specifics of who said exactly that, but what I would say is,
I don't want to deal with us.
But who ascribed that to you and said Charlie is an anti-Semite? I don't think that's right. And I think you've shown a willingness to engage and to be open. You've shown it with me, and I appreciate that vulnerability, and I hope I show it with you and with your listeners today. Now, all that being said, again, the trope of Jews and power, simply when you say, I want to have that kind of power, you might not mean it in some conspiratorial way. That may be how some Jewish people heard it.
Because even in hip-hop, right, it's always been, you got to have Jewish people in your corner. Remember 50 years ago?
Good way or
in a good way. In a good way. It's a thing to say, I got some very powerful Jewish people in my corner. I don't know if we're saying it because of the stereotype of Jews having power, or just that they're powerful and happen to be Jewish.
See, this is what's tough about it. Context matters. Intent matters. There can be an offense even accidentally. Like Kyrie Irving, I don't think was trying to be.
No, not at all.
I think he was just ignorant.
Mm-hmm. Now, with the Kyrie Irving situation, right? Kyrie Irving got suspended. There was 5 things he had to do before he was playing basketball again. But I also ask about Amazon for having that film on there. I don't feel like Amazon got much of that fire.
So I'm going to tell you, we are working on that. Because your point is...
You just called Kyrie Irving ignorant for posting the same... See your picture, all right, Cole? Your picture, that picture says Hebrew to Negroes. He just called Kyrie Irving ignorant, or whatever you just called him, for posting that link to that documentary. You see this? This is the leader of the ADL saying that Kyrie is ignorant because he posted a documentary called Hebrews to Negroes. Yeah. Y'all better pay attention to these people.
So now, DJ Envy, that's incredibly important.
Sad,
it's not just about what the people say, it's what the platform does. It's not just what Chappelle says, it's what SNL does or NBC does. Mm-hmm. It's not just about what Kyrie tweets, it's about Amazon hosting it. So, look, we've launched a whole campaign against Amazon. We announced on Monday we're working with the German government because Holocaust denialism, and that movie is offensive in part because it says that white Jews invented the Holocaust, that it didn't really happen. That's not true. Let's just put that out there. I don't think I really should even need to. But
I don't even say I agree with that fully. I mean, there are some cases that people have proven the Holocaust, so-called try to prove it, that it didn't happen. I'm not too convinced on those people that say it didn't happen, but there is some proof out there that a lot of shit was forged. A lot of shit was made up, like 6 million, like that number. Like, they know who we are. That's why they really mad, because we're waking up. Facts. They trying to do everything they can to stop this truth from getting out. They're trying to touch every corner. They're trying to touch everything to make sure you niggas don't wake up and say you're a Jew. Because you call yourself a Jew, now you're anti-Semitic, now you're crazy, now you're going to get blackballed, now you're a racist. You see this game? It's a game, man. It's a wordplay game.
Legal in Germany. That movie is available on Amazon Germany. So we are now working with the German government because Amazon is breaking the law. I also had we worked with members of Congress, had about 3 dozen members of Congress write a letter to CEO Andy Jassy.
Having a documentary on opinion or don't?
We're also worked with all these different groups in the Jewish community to write a letter. We've sent tens of thousands of emails. So I'm not going to let up on Amazon. Not at all. And I was at a conference last week where Andy Jassy, CEO, said, you know, it is a slippery slope if we take this down. I don't think so. Or at a minimum, maybe he doesn't want to take it down, and I think he should put a disclaimer on it to say the kind of things in here are not true, and here's why they're problematic. And like, look, I talked to Andy. I've talked to their leadership. We will help them with that. Again, the goal here is not to cancel, it's to counsel.
Now, you also didn't mention Dave Chappelle, right?
Yeah.
For years, comedians have made jokes about everything under the sun, right?
Everything.
If you watch The Living Color or whatever it may,
it could joke about anything.
LGBTQ community. It could be
there was no limits.
Black people. It could be white people. It's Asian people. When is a joke not funny anymore? Where it's a problem? Because some people find Dave Chappelle's jokes funny. I'm sure some Jewish people find Dave Chappelle's jokes funny.
Yeah. The criticism was he normalized anti-Semitism. As a person who doesn't always know what is considered anti-Semitic, I didn't know what he normalized.
So let's talk about that. So first of all, I would say that I give always, as the head of ADL, a very wide berth when it comes to comedy. I mean, and Dave Chappelle is an equal opportunity offender, right? White people, trans people, black people, Jewish people. So there's a lot of Asian people for sure. And so is SNL. Like, SNL's making fun of people all the time. White people, Jewish people, black people. And I pretty much don't say
I don't even doubt that.
But what was problematic about what he said are a few things. So number one, keep in mind, as you probably know, because it's been reported, he did a different monologue in the rehearsal. I don't know if you know that or not.
Yeah, I heard that. I read that.
I didn't do that. So right there, that's a little bit of a tell because that's not what you are supposed to do. That's not why Lorne Michaels does the rehearsal. You're supposed to test it out. And I think he knew that it was going to be too hot or too controversial, and they might tell him not to do it. So right there, number one. Number two, look, he literally said the problem wasn't what Kanye said. It said he said it out loud. That's what he said. And on the heels of the stuff that Kanye was doing, and on the heels of all the kind of animus around the Kyrie thing, when he said that, you know, sometimes you don't know in comedy whether it's going to be whether it's a punch or a punchline.
This
just
love
felt like a punch.
Hey, Dave Chappelle is a genius, man. Dave Chappelle is a genius. He didn't even know how to answer that. Because Dave Chappelle made it look normal that you couldn't joke about these people. It turned into a joke. Dave Chappelle is genius, man. And you gotta watch. I'm gonna do a video on that Saturday Night Live on 2 next.
He did that thing where he pulled out the piece of paper and read it at the beginning. You all saw
the apology. Yeah. He denounced his anti-Semitism.
I did not. And he said it in a flat, like, you know, in a flat monotone. And he said, that's how you buy yourself some time. So that was kind of funny. Yeah. But it wasn't when, again, it felt less like a punchline, more like a punch. So by saying the problem wasn't what Kanye said, just that he said it out loud, that hit home. Again, the fact that there are some Jewish people who are Hollywood executives doesn't mean the Jews run Hollywood. And this myth of power has led to deep problems for Jews. But there was something else that he said that also really, I thought about our conversations, that really hit me. When he basically said, look, you know, Jewish people have suffered. And he acknowledged that towards the end. But he said, don't blame black people for your trauma. He said it kind of like that, I'm paraphrasing. Like, no one was doing that. I mean, I've gone after Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump, plenty of other people on the right who are white. I've gone after plenty of people on the left who are white. I've gone after, I shouldn't say gone after even, but called out people like Candace Owens and people like Kanye and people like, and others. I mean, to say that we're blaming black people for the trauma really, really hurt, because I think it was really, really wrong.
Yeah, I think sometimes people feel like in regards to anti-Semitism, black people get labeled but then suffer more consequences for it than other groups. You know what I mean? Nothing seems to happen to Donald Trump. Nothing seems to happen to Tucker Carlson. But other black people that get labeled anti-Semitic, they lose everything.
I hear you. I mean, I think about Myers Leonard last year, or 2 years ago. Myers Leonard, you know, he was a forward for the Heat who was caught. She was streaming on Steam, playing like, I can't remember what game he was playing. And he used a real pretty offensive term toward Jews.
Game, I believe.
Which
I think it was shooting.
I think it was like, Call of Duty or something.
I think it was, yeah.
And we called him out. The Heat dropped him. Hasn't been picked up by another team.
That's facts.
Right, so he pretty much got canceled. By the way, we've worked with Myers over the years. We worked with him right away after that. He's done some good stuff with us, calling out hate on video games since then.
Is he black or he's white?
He's white.
He's white. Okay.
He lost his whole career.
But let me ask you, you know, when somebody does something like that and says something wrong and disrespectful and he loses everything, that's kind of like cancel culture.
It is, which is why, like, we called him out when he said it.
Because it doesn't give you a chance to apologize and to make good of what you've done. Because
what's
life and career is done.
Look, man, and what's really a shame about Myers, he's a good guy. He's a young guy who's tried really hard. And I don't want to speak to his talent on the court. Like, I don't know what the Heat front office thinks, or the other teams, by the way. But it's sad that he hasn't landed somewhere, as far as I know. Again, we've worked with him. I think he's a genuine good guy. But sometimes people do get canceled, and I don't think it's right.
I remember look at that and say, damn, we did that. Like, we took his career. We took his life. Even though it's something that he said.
Well, I was going to get to that, because me and you had a conversation one time, Jonathan, about Kyrie, and it was after the list of demands came up, which you said y'all didn't have anything to do with.
Nothing to do with.
And one thing you said in that conversation was you were going to call the Nets and tell them that they should let Kyrie back play.
Which I did. So, like,
wow.
So jumping to Kyrie.
So the ADL, the leader of the ADL, called the Nets supposedly and told them to let Kyrie play. This list of demands is too much. You see this shit, man? See this game they playing?
For a second, I mean, I'll just say the answer to your thing, but like, I think a lot about the fact that ADL is a deeply respected organization. So when we say something, it has a kind of resonance. And I take that responsibility really seriously. I do not do things lightly. I do not do things flippantly. And again, I try to call people in before we call them out. Now, when there's something really public, like what Myers did, like, that's just objectively wrong. But I'm proud of the fact that we've worked with him since then, featured him in programs, tried to lift him up. Now, so that's what we've tried to do, because I do think a lot about what you said, DJ Envy, and it's real. Now, you were asking me about just now. I'm sorry, I lost my.
Kyrie, we were talking, and you said you called the Nets.
Oh yeah. So, like, again, I think when I saw that movie, you know, Kyrie's not Myers Leonard. Kyrie's one of the most well-known players in the game. My boys have his jersey. They wear the Nikes. So he is like a cultural phenomenon. So when he did this and then didn't seem to show any contrition or any interest in any contrition right away, that's problematic. But we work with the Nets and his family and the Players Association and the league and his friends to try to work this out. And then after he said he had another pretty terrible press conference and the Nets suspended him, They said, this is what I got a call from them and said, this is, we're going to have him do a bunch of things. Would you be willing to meet with him? I said, of course I will. And I've said that, by the way, since the very beginning. I still haven't met with him. Spoken to his dad. I've spoken to his stepmom, who's his agent. I've spoken to his friends. I haven't talked to him. But I would talk to him today if we wanted to have that conversation. Because I think he has, since the whole kind of debacle, demonstrated again and again that he's really sincere. And when Joe Tsai and Adam Silver say we met with him, and the man has never expressed an anti-Semitic thought, and he really wants to learn, like, I want to help him learn.
Is there anybody that you wouldn't speak to?
Why does he have to learn?
Well, Mel Gibson and I aren't exactly going to have, coffee.
Man, when I tell you that he basically saying that we have to learn from them. We have to learn the true history from them and not spill bullshit documentaries. Man, I have a huge problem with that. Excuse me, Slakia. I have a huge problem with that telling me that I have to learn my history from you, from your people that enslaved me, that funded the transatlantic slave trade. You know, a lot of the ships were owned and funded by so-called Jewish people. And I have to learn the history from you. I call that a conflict of interest. That's what I call that. Yeah. This shit is insane to me, bro.
Anytime soon. I mean, I think people who are unrepentant, people who show no willingness in a genuine way, that's a bridge that I won't necessarily cross.
Now, did you see the article in Tablet where they said when it comes to Jewish people, the ADL does more harm than good? What did you think of that?
There are people in the Jewish community, like, here's the ugly truth. There are people in the Jewish community,
that is the ugly,
particularly those who I would characterize on the far right, who think ADL is too liberal.
See, they go.
And then there are people in the Jewish community, what I'll call on the far left, who think we're too conservative. I get accused of being an apologist for Donald Trump, and I get accused of being, like, obsessed with Donald Trump. I've come to expect that. And so, you know, when you call people out, and you do it consistently and clearly, and you take no prisoners, but you do it in a way which is about how do we move forward, people are going to hate on you. And, like, I just think that's part of the job. If I listen to my critics, Charlemagne, like, I wouldn't get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, they said the ADL is a partisan attack machine fueled by corporate cash and oblivious to any real suffering of Jewish people.
That's great. I mean, look, tell that to the rabbi in Colleyville, Texas, who credits us with helping save his life. Tell that to the millions of kids who we educate every year. Tell that to the thousands of people who we help after they've been victimized. I mean, I think that's baloney. But, you know, although I'm going to be honest with you, like, I'm accustomed to getting criticized, I take all the criticism seriously. I think very hard. Because, like, I don't want to be on the right or the left. I just want to do what's right, not wrong. So I don't let these people distract me. I don't let them daunt me. Like I said, I never get out of bed in the morning, but I always think there's room for improvement. And I'm always trying to listen to people that I don't agree with, so I can hear where they're coming from.
Well, what is your thoughts on private conversations sometimes, right? Every household, to somebody that's listening right now, said something foul or racist or something that they considered a joke, might not have been funny, but it stayed in their household, right?
Yeah, sure.
But sometimes those household situations get leaked and people lose everything over a household situation, especially over something that I know most of the people listening has said something or something funny that they thought was funny that might not have been funny. What is your thoughts on that? Because it's nothing that necessarily wanted to say that they wanted to get out, but it's something that could have been taken out of hand. I think there was.
Do you have a specific, like, example in mind?
There was one situation, I can't remember what it was, so don't quote me. I remember he was walking into his house and it was on a neighbor's Ring camera, and it was released, and he just got everything he got was taken from him. But the individual, I believe, at the time was doing things for different communities, but he just said something. What is your thoughts on things like that? Because it's still cancel culture.
I mean, yeah, look, like I said before, I think you can offend people even if you don't intend to. But that's why you got to counsel, not cancel. That's why you got to bring people in rather than push them away. So, like, there's been a lot of examples of this cancel culture where professors or business people have lost everything because they made a comment or they maybe did something wrong, like legitimately wrong. But I just think, you know, in the Jewish tradition, we have this concept called teshuvah, which is about repentance. And acknowledges the fact that, I mean, we're human. Like, we may be made in the image of God, but we're not God. And so all of us sin, all of us err, and teshuvah means we can all repent for what we get wrong. So that's pretty much where again, there are those, you asked me, who would I not talk to? There are the unrepentant, unwilling people, and I don't want to deal with them. I just don't. But that is a very small fraction.
Have you spoken to Kanye before? Was that ever a conversation?
I was asked would I meet with him, and my answer was yes.
Even now?
Yeah, admittedly, that was before.
Okay.
That was Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
Before Alex Jones. Like, he seems unwilling or uninterested in any kind of real, sincere conversation. And by the way, you asked about private conversations. Like, I've seen him post these.
One fact, Kanye, aka your boy Ye. Your boy Ye came on the Clubhouse and spoke with the Israelites All praise to the Most High. And this was the other day, and Ye got on there. They shut the room down too. They said, "No, we ain't having this." They shut the room down. But Ye, he got on there and said, Alex Jones believes that we are the true Jews, that African Americans are true Jews. Alex Jones believes that, according to Kanye West. Yeah, and Alex Jones is one of the biggest known conspiracy theorists in the world, and he believes that. Because why? Most conspiracy theories are true. If you ask me, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of them are true. And he believes that. So, yeah, the food for thought. I never knew that until Kanye said that.
He's text messages with his friends.
Right.
So, like, that's kind of hard for me to reckon with. And so I think I will say that I typically approach people like with the benefit of the doubt. I assume people have good intention, not ill intention. So it's hard to go talk to somebody like that when you know he has a pattern of behavior that's demonstrates ill intent.
What about Elon Musk? Like, now that he says that he's on Twitter, they're saying that hate speech has shot up, 41% against Jewish people, 61% against African American people. Does the ADL attack him and his organization and things like that? And how successful are you guys with doing it?
Elon Musk. So let's step back. So I would tell you that we've been fighting hate for, again, over almost 110 years. Facebook is the front line of fighting hate today. And social media is a super spreader of anti-Black racism, anti-Jewish hate, anti-Asian hate, etc. So literally, we opened a center in Silicon Valley back in 2017. And the woman who runs it, she's an ex-Facebook executive. I have software engineers and data scientists working at ADL. We're monitoring all this stuff. And we're working with all the platforms, by the way. Google and YouTube and Meta and Twitter and
Y'all
Reddit.
Hear that? The ADL is working with Meta, Facebook, Google, Twitter, everything, every platform to keep you niggas from saying to keep you Israelites from saying this truth and labeling everything anti-Semitic and controlling the algorithm. They're monitoring this shit. They trying their best to keep this truth from getting out. That's why people like Kanye, when you got rich people like Kanye, when the rich man speaks, everybody listens. We know the scriptures. When Kanye say we the Jews, when Kyrie say we the Jews, you got people calling us and our families, friends, and be like, man, ain't that stuff you was talking about? I kind of see that now. Like, because when the rich man speaks, everybody listens. Not when the poor man speaks. So, yeah, food for thought. Man, I'm sorry. It's hard to get through this whole video, man, but this man's saying a lot of bullshit.
And Steam and Amazon, all these companies, from like Apple to Zoom, we work with all of them, okay? That's relevant because we've been working with Twitter now since it was founded. We worked with the old regime, working with the new regime. I wasn't a big fan of the management at old Twitter. Like, old Twitter has been like a hellscape for a long time.
About Jack Dorsey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, and we work with his staff on almost a daily basis, certainly a weekly basis. And oftentimes there are a lot of issues. Now, Elon, I think Elon is somebody who wants to do the right thing because he wants to make the business work. And if it remains a hellscape, the advertisers won't take part in it. They don't want their brands. Brand safety is linked to user safety, right? So they don't want, Procter & Gamble and McDonald's and Coca-Cola. They don't want their brands up against like white supremacist hate speech.
See what I mean?
Now, all that being said, so I have been critical of some of the things that Elon has done. And at the same time, like, I'm talking to Elon and we're trying to work with them. I think I want him to get it right because whether we like it or not, Twitter is the public square. That might change at some point in time. But the public square cannot be, again, a firing range where Jews and other minorities are targeted and victimized. To your question, DJ Envy, we have seen in the past few weeks, anti-Semitic hate speech has gone up. The number of takedowns has decreased as a percentage. We've seen some really awful people get back on the platform, like neo-Nazis and such. I'm hoping Twitter will take them down. We're working with them to try to get to that outcome. And I hope that Elon will get it right.
What's the difference between free speech and openly inciting hate and violence?
Well, a lot. I mean, incitement and threat. I mean, freedom of speech isn't the freedom to slander people, right? And
he keeps saying free speech, but all I see is, seems like hate speech.
I mean, I think there's a lot of room for improvement. And even if hate speech is part of free speech to a degree, like, you make decisions, right? Every day who you bring on this show. Mm-hmm. You do. Mm-hmm. You make a decision. And you do that because you respect your audience. You've got an integrity to this program, right? And you don't want to give a platform to some of the worst elements. Like, Twitter can do a much better job. Make sure it doesn't platform the worst elements. Because I don't think we should confuse freedom of expression with the freedom to incite violence against, again, Black people, Jewish people, or any other minority.
The ADL is an anti-hate group. Yeah. But it often feels like the ADL seems to have, it doesn't have the same passion for anti-Blackness as it does anti-Semitism.
That's a fair question. I mean, we were created after this lynching to protect Jewish people. That's why we exist. And so at a time when anti-Semitism has reached literally an all-time high, it's fair. We're putting a lot of resources on that. We put a lot of resources into fighting extremists, right-wing extremists who want to kill Black people and Jewish people. And this is something I think we should talk about, because these right-wing extremists, they're the ones who are rejoicing while they perceive Black and Jewish people are fighting. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who want to see Kanye and the ADL or Charlemagne and whomever going at it, because they deeply, passionately hate both of us. So I think there's a lot of shared values between the Black and Jewish community. And by the way, just shared people. There are plenty of Jews of color. There are plenty of African-American Jews that I know. But in addition, I think we have shared values. And unfortunately, we have common enemies. But let's come back to what you asked about. Mm-hmm. We do a lot with groups like the NAACP, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the Urban League, Color of Change,
last time you heard
Lawyers
about the
Committee.
NAACP
At the national level, at the local, we have 25 offices across the country. In all my offices, we're working with Black-led organizations to fight anti-Black racism, to be a part of legislation, to be a part of initiatives.
Can anybody name an instance where the ADL jumped in and just recently, especially recently, and just said, no, we ain't having this with protecting Black people? Because I can't name one. I'm sorry. That's hard to do.
Against Facebook a few years ago, Stop Hate for Profit. I did it with Derek Johnson, the CEO of the NAACP, and Rashad Robinson from Color of Change. But let's come back to, on this issue of, are we doing enough on anti-Blackness? And what's your expertise in how are you helping our community? Because you said before, Charlemagne, you would like to see armed guards in Black churches. Mm-hmm. And that's actually not a crazy idea.
I don't think so, not in this day and age. I feel like that about schools too.
And we saw the shooting in Charleston, like you mentioned, in 2015. We had a shooting in Buffalo earlier this year at a top supermarket. We've had arson attacks against Black churches. Earlier this year, we had bomb threats phoned into HBCUs. So this past September, it's only a couple months ago, the ADL and the Urban League launched a new effort called the Solidarity and Safety Coalition. And we included that, like the National Association of Baptists, a bunch, and the United Negro College Fund, and a bunch of other groups. ADL is going to share what we've learned about monitoring extremists and protecting houses of worship and faith-based institutions and kind of other important kind of civic entities with the Black community, the Asian community, the LGBTQ community. We're going to share what we learned. We can do more to fight anti-Black racism and hate, and this is one very direct way we can do that.
I want to go back to something you just said. You said, you acknowledge there are Black Jews, there are African-American Jews.
100%.
Some people think saying that they're labeled anti-Semitic. What is the difference between saying, hey, which is a fact, there are Black Jews, and what y'all consider anti-Semitic in that conversation?
I don't know anyone could, the fact there are Black Jews is just a statement of truth. I don't think that's anti-Semitic. I mean, I think Let's also acknowledge that Judaism is a wide spectrum, right?
The fact that there are black Jews, that's a statement of truth. The fact that there are black Jews, that is a statement of truth. Y'all just heard that from the leader of the ADL, the leader of the Anti-Defamation League that protects Jewish people, just said on the Breakfast Club that it is a fact there are black Jews. I want y'all to let that sink in, because that's why Charlemagne the God asked him. He said, some people, which Charlemagne God ain't asking them these questions for no reason. There are some people that feel like if I call myself a Jew, a black Jew, that I'm labeled anti-Semitic. That's basically what Kyrie did. When you really look at the situation, with Kyrie, what did he do? Kyrie posted a link to this movie that y'all see on the screen right here on this brother's little thumbnail, or this little brother on his brother's profile picture.